Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you are safe, I hope you're well, and I hope you're staying home. Now, at the time of recording, we are currently stuck in the coronavirus lockdown. It has been 4 weeks, or we are coming up to the 4th week of lockdown, and everyone's getting a bit stir crazy. I know I am. If you're watching this video during the lockdown, I can assume you're here for one of three reasons. One, you're bored. Two, you've arrived from someone else's video, in which case please stick around. Or three, you're watching to find out how to bake cookies, because that's what this video is going to be all about. Now, a lot of people in the lockdown, they are trying to kind of get into baking. They are either baking for the first time, or they're trying to renew their love of baking, or if you're like me, you love baking, it's kind of a distraction from the world and everything that's going on in it. If you are getting into baking, or you're trying to renew your love of baking, then one of the best things you can make are cookies, because they are oh so simple and they do not take much time at all. So if you are looking to get into baking, these are perfect. And if you're looking to bake with kids, they're also perfect because they are so simple and they can be done so quickly and they don't need a lot of time to dedicate to them. Now, because if you're living by yourself, then you've probably got a bit more time to yourself and you could dedicate a bit more time to baking and stuff like that. But if you've got kids, and especially if you work as well, then you are probably going to be struggling to find time to yourself, let alone to try and bake and stuff like this. So this is something that you could do with the kids and really, just try and get them into it and do something as a family and get cookies out of it as well, which is the main thing. So I'm going to show you how to bake cookies. They are so simple. They require very few ingredients, and best of all, they are super quick. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to show you how to make double chocolate chip cookies, because these have both got cocoa powder and chocolate chips in. So they're going to be super chocolatey and they're going to be so good. So let's get started. Now, cookie dough couldn't be simpler. I've got a stand mixer here because it's the quickest way to do things, but you can totally do this by hand. And what we want at first is 115 grams of melted unsalted butter. I've just melted this in the microwave for 30 seconds on 10-second bursts, because if you don't do it in 10-second bursts, you have the risk of it exploding everywhere in the microwaves. And then we want 2 eggs, so 1, 2. Got to pop on my beater attachment, pop that down and just mix those together very quickly. Then with those mixed together, we're going to want to pop in 200 grams of light brown sugar and 200 grams of caster sugar. The combination of sugars will give a lovely texture of a chewy middle and a crunchy outside. And mix those together as well. Now that's all mixed together with all the lumps of sugar mixed out of it. Now we can pop in our flour. I've got plain flour here, 250 grams worth. Got 60 grams of cocoa powder, really nice cocoa powder. I'm going to get everywhere. Then we're going to add in half a teaspoon salt and half a teaspoon of baking powder. Then last but by no means least, our chocolate chip cookies. Pop down the beater and mix this all together until you get a nice cookie dough. Now that's all combined together really well, so I'm just going to take this off the stand. So I'm just going to get into here, make sure it's all together. You can see that's coming to a really nice dough. You're going to get some really nice cookies out of this. It smells incredible with that cocoa powder in it. Now we can get this onto a baking tray and start baking our cookies. You can see how quick that was to put together. Now I find the best way to portion this up is to use an ice cream scoop. So if you just get in here, get yourself a scoop like so, and plop that onto there. There you go, you've got one nice size portion there, and then you can just repeat this on your tray. You don't want too many on here because they will spread out and they will end up touching, and then you'll end up with one giant cookie, which doesn't sound so bad, but if you are going for individual cookies, it causes a problem. There we go, I'm going to do 5 this time around, then I'll do the rest in another batch, and I'm just going to poke down with the back of a fork just to flatten them down a bit, so we get nice flat cookies and they're not too puffy. Then these can go into the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. Right, these have had about 9 minutes in the oven and they're looking really good. Look at those. Those are some fantastic chocolate chip cookies. You be quiet. And those are just going to need 1 or 2 minutes to cool down on the tray before we transfer them onto a wire rack to cool down completely. I'm going to transfer these over onto the wire rack. And those can have some time to cool completely while I bake up the rest of the cookie dough. And boom, in no time at all, we've got literally stacks of cookies, literal stacks. I was about to say proverbial stacks, but they are literal stacks of cookies. They took no time at all, literally 5 minutes for making the dough, and then each batch of cookies just takes 10 minutes, and you have cookies in no time whatsoever, and they look fantastic. They smell fantastic as well. So I'm not going to do my usual waffle. I'm just going to take one of these, give it a go, and you will be able to see how tasty these are, even if you can't try them for yourselves yet.
We did it all for the cookie, all for the cookie, all for the cookie.
Ah, there you go. Referencing both Cookie Monster and Fred Durst. Shows you how old I am. But there you go. Cookies. Cookies in no time at all. Literally, they do not take very much time at all. Literally 5 minutes for putting the dough together, then 10 minutes to bake a batch. You can be eating cookies in like 17 minutes, because 2 minutes to cool down, because that's kind of how long you need just to get them to an acceptable temperature so they can be nice and crispy. But you can see how easy they are. It takes a bit longer if you want the full batch, but the great thing about cookies is that once you've cooked one batch, you can take the rest of the dough and you can refrigerate it or even freeze it, and then you can have it to hand, and then you can have cookies whenever you want. What's not to like about that? It's fantastic. And these cookies are fantastic. I haven't even tasted one, but I will be able to tell you they're fantastic because they just look great, they smell great, and they've got the right sort of noise on them as well. So these are going to be chewy in the middle and nice and crispy on the outside. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm just going to try this one because it looks great. Oh yeah, that is so good. That is really, really good. That is almost like verging on brownie territory there. You've got the crisp outside and then the chewy chocolatey inside. It is so good, and there is nothing to dislike about that unless you dislike chocolate, in which case it's not for you. But you could potentially leave out the cocoa powder in this to do kind of more plain version, more just chocolate chip ones rather than double chocolate chip. Experiment a bit. But if you want to make these are fantastic. They are so good, so tasty. Going to take another bite. Perfectly chewy, chocolatey, melt in your mouth. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely nothing to dislike about that. And that is how simple they are. So if you're looking to get back into baking, if you're looking to do a bit of baking with your kids, something nice and simple, nice and quick, and something tasty at the end of it, these are perfect. Give them a go. I assure you, you won't regret it. So that's it for another Big Friendly Grub. I'm going to go off and finish this bad boy. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found the video useful. It really is a good one to make, whether by yourself, for friends, or with the kids, or whatever. These are amazing. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you're enjoying what I'm doing on the channel, subscribe. And otherwise, stay safe and well. And hopefully I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.